All right. Good morning, afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I really hate this fucking ambiance noise. I'm so sorry I sat you all through that for so long. Um, let's play this. This is a little bit better. Actual music instead of just the repeating noises. All right. Hello. I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Welcome back to Luavara. Um, I apologize that I haven't been streaming the last couple of days. I've been doing a lot off camera. Mostly just doing things on Minecraft and working on this session in particular because this session is really important. I need my notes because I'm gonna forget a lot of key points here. So today is going to be mostly a roleplay session. I don't plan on there being any combat, but it's a very important one. So let me go ahead and quickly do a couple of things here. Okay. So, there's going to be a lot of talking. There's going to be a lot of roleplay today, and I feel like this is going to take a little while. So, without further ado, I don't want to waste any more time. Let's go ahead and jump into the chat and say hello to everyone.
We're not condoning it. I know what you're thinking. We're not condoning it.
Aww.
No, don't stick your dick in the fryers.
I'm not even.
Listen, I'm just saying the new guy might just want a hot dog and a hot
It's a
hot
lady.
ball combo. Oh, my bad.
Well, and
I don't think we'll be frying clams.
I was about to say I was about to say fried calamari, but that's even better.
I'm not sure where you're getting the extra parts from there, Josh.
Well,
just remember,
you never
guys,
know.
The ice cream
You
machine's
never
been working
know.
for years. Those milkshakes won't bring anybody.
No.
never.
All right.
No, just tell that to everybody freaking last night that wouldn't leave us alone after fireworks.
You know, I couldn't have asked for something better.
Oh, this was a good compromise.
Okay. I hate to cut this talk a little bit short, but today's going to be a much longer roleplay session. And
I don't know if Spooky's back just yet.
I'm here.
Okay, never mind, we're good.
all right. Previously, trekking through the cunning wastes, you guys have stumbled across a large band of individuals who turns out to be another one of Sven's groups that were out looking for you all. And I'm sorry, I have something stuck in my tooth. And you find them fighting off a small horde of giant scorpions along with two metalheads. Joining into the fray and helping them out, awaiting their reinforcements, soon, lo and behold, Sven and Felfrey show up out of nowhere. Through a teleporter gate and joining into the fight, well, not really doing any too much because you guys took out most of the enemies. However, standoff happens after most of the threats are dead and dusted, and while everybody is arguing, Silky began acting very strangely, trying to restrain her from moving towards the metal heads. Eventually, you all let go, hearing her whisper those warnings that you've heard in the past, and being filled in that, hey, this isn't the first time this happened. And allowing her to go up to the metalhead, cut it open, and use its blood to seep down into the sheath of the Sword of Silence. Sven, therefore, talks with you all and says, listen, I don't want to fight you guys, okay? I have strict orders that I have to follow to bring you guys with us to talk. That is it. All right? That's how it went. With Silky unconscious, everybody agrees to go with Sven. Belfry therefore opens up a new teleporter scroll and then teleports you guys to a brand new location in which none of you have ever seen before. That is where we are going to pick up. So, as the light of the teleportation slowly begins to dissipate, and the harshness of the desert sun vanishes almost instantly, you guys find yourself what appears to be in the grand hall of a castle. So, the castle interior is, of course, made up of very well decorated architecture, carvings in the pillars, nice large archway with hardwood floors and a long carpet that leads from the large doors that are residing behind you all, leading up to a grand staircase that goes up to multiple levels with hallways jutting out on either side of you all. Just lost so many of my trinkets. And like hanging up on the walls are torches and statues of many, many different kinds. And then photos are plastered on the wall that leads up into the second floor, where you can see just a bunch of like younger children and a couple that resides in the main portrait once you get to the first landing.
Ugh, I could smell the pretentious in here.
Belfry, would you mind finding our hosts, please, and telling them that we are here? I already told them. She's on her way. Then, almost on cue, as Belfry says this, you hear the sounds of what sound to be heels against the hardwood floors. And you look up on the balcony above you all, and coming down the stairs, you guys see a somewhat familiar face, as you guys haven't seen her in a very, very long time.
This bitch.
Oh gosh.
So, the lady that you all now know, well, except for you, Spooky, because you never met this woman before. The lady that you guys know now as Irath, slowly walking down the stairwell, just glances over at you all and says, "Well, so glad that you finally completed your task, Sven. Of course, I'm pretty sure all of you have many questions, but please, follow. If you would all follow me into the dining hall. We prepared a miraculous meal for you."
This is gonna be regular food, not poisoned, right?
Of course not.
Alistair, if they wanted us dead, we'd be dead.
Listen, I get that, but you can't be overly cautious.
I'm just saying, in this case, it's kind of a null and void point.
Yeah.
And everyone goes tiny.
I mean, literally, Sven could sneeze and we're gone.
Shrink.
All right, so Irath, of course, leads you all into a large dining hall, where you can see that there are several servants currently just starting to place like silverware and food on the table. It's very well set. The dining room itself is very, very high class. Dark purple carpets along right along the edges of the walls, with the longer red carpet in the center. The dining room table, of course, made of a very expensive woods, and tablecloths made of fine silk. Around it, you can see several suits of armor as decoration. You can also see like paintings and such of different locations that you guys don't recognize all that much. But you do happen to also notice that some of these paintings are actually of places on the surface. Like you see like a miraculous painting that's very well done of the Elven Castle. And you also see another one that portrays like a ground view of the great mountains that Dandelier reside in. So Irath gestures towards the chairs, and she asks you all to please choose a seat, but savor the head of the table for her father, as he will be joining us shortly. By this time, Silky is obviously awake, and she looks very uncomfortable.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
If Alistair has his mask up, you can tell the man is scowling.
Alright, everybody, pick a spot.
I already picked my spot. As far as away from those I can get.
Think.
I'll go make a kids table if I have to.
I guess I'll sit by Silky. Don't forget to burp her.
Flap, 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 flap. He's gonna take a seat on the top of the chair. So, as the servants continue to bring in food and the table is continued to be set, yeah, Irath just sits there. You know, very high class, proper posture, just with her hands folded, smiling, not saying a word. Sven and Felfrey, however, are taking their places like against the back wall here. Eventually, the full table is set and the food lays about. in front of you all. Your glasses, your goblets are therefore filled with waters, and different kinds of ales and wines are placed down in front of you all.
Alistair's like smelling it beforehand, like putting it into his mouth, swishing it around.
Smells like money.
Acting like
Yeah,
a,
it
a
may be
wine
poison because
connoisseur.
it just smells so nice. Alistair's not sure. It just smells so nice. It may be poisoned. He's never had anything this good.
All right. About 15 minutes go by. You guys don't talk, you don't say anything, you guys just wait in anticipation for everything.
Pretty much. It's just
Like, what are we gonna talk about? We don't really know these people.
So, where are we exactly? Did Sven tell us he was taking us to the Underdark?
No, he just straight up told you guys that he's taking you to his boss.
All right. So there's paintings of the surface.
Yes, there's different paint.
Can I look out those windows behind us?
Yeah, absolutely. The curtains are drawn wide open. And
Looking out the window.
you
Trying to figure out where the hell we are.
you down below, you happen to see like walls and large pillars supporting what appears to be the internals of a massive cave system. And seeing as though there is no sunlight coming in here whatsoever, all of the light that is coming in from the windows are being produced by luminescent crystals that hang from the ceiling of this giant cave system that kind of artificially simulates sunlight. You are not on the surface anymore.
Guys, we're in the Underdark.
Can't imagine what gave you
Sorry.
that idea.
I don't know. The fact that that's a cave, and this is basically a place of cave.
I was being facetious.
Did you already know we were in the Underdark?
A little obvious when you look out the window.
Did I just looked out the window? I didn't see anyone else look out the window.
What else are we supposed to do?
I don't know.
We're having a nice quiet dinner at the moment.
Alright, I'm putting money on it. Who's saying vampire? I'm totally putting money on vampire.
Are you saying this in game, or are you just talking as
Oh yeah,
players?
Alistair is totally saying this in game. He's not a polite person. He never has been.
Like, 8 just looks over him like, just giving him that look like, really?
Like, are we really doing this right now?
Are we really questioning this?
Like, you're not dead. You should at least be proper.
I will live
They
on
didn't-
being the rude asshole I am as long as I can.
Ay, ay, ay.
I'm just grabbing a couple other references real quick here.
I mean, because if our host is just a tiefling, that seems a little boring. Vampire tiefling is at least entertaining.
What would be
Come on.
entertaining for you then?
I don't know. Vampire tiefling turns into giant monster. We gotta burst out of the ground of the Underdark into the upper half of the world, and it looks like a
You've
giant world-ending dilemma.
Oh, okay.
You
I,
have had way too much time with the dramatics, haven't you?
I need to
I
ask.
get bored when I'm by myself, and books are great.
Okay, I was about
You're
to
not
ask.
by yourself.
How many folk tales have you been reading?
There's other stories besides.
Besides what?
Cutting out, Matt.
Oh, there are other stories besides folktales.
He was asking what kind of folktales you've been reading.
I know there are other stories besides those.
I'm not gonna push any ideas in your head.
Are you saying there are other genres I can read besides folktale?
Yeah.
No, there's history books.
Points to
Wait, they write-
Silky.
Yeah, but those books are for No offense, those books are for nerds. I don't want to read history. I want to read cool things.
Okay, then have you read about the mimic? There.
The what?
Next time you go to the library,
Astrology
find out.
Noted. Noted. He writes it down in his little journal.
Why do I really want to find a mimic and push him towards it now?
I think we all kind of do at this point.
Just recreate the.
You
Oh,
say that, but remember who the second highest DPS in the group is.
Don't you mean third?
I could beat Spooky, I feel.
Okay, I got everything.
alright.
Give me enough, like, if I can keep a far enough distance away from Spooky, and Xavian, technically, I could win.
Good.
Until Xavier gets angry.
You
Yeah,
forget
but
who's
he's still
the
gonna
meep
face me.
over here. You forget who's the charger over here.
Yeah, I can run too, you know. I got legs, they work.
Alright. So while you are all discussing folk tales and mimics and such, just
Listen, I gotta keep this entertaining.
alright.
Owls
About
are never
this
once
talk
cared
now.
for this decorum.
I can't believe we're having this talk.
So
Welcome.
all of a sudden, as you guys are talking, Silky quickly reaches out and like clutches onto the table and like writhes in an intense pain as she reaches up and like grasps the left side of her head. Enough pain to where she is calling out, is like almost screaming in pain. As you hear
Our benefactors arrived.
as you hear the sound of footsteps approaching the main doors, and the dining hall door opens slightly, and a well-dressed figure steps into the dining hall. The gentleman looks like this.
Oh no, he's hot. I feel like you said that about a lot of Josh's villains, no doubt I think about it.
So, this figure steps in, he turns around, just takes a glance over at Sven, looks over the table, just starts slowly walking along the side of the table. As he gets to the head of the table, he turns around and he looks at all of you. And he looks over at Silky, who is just still, like, almost thrashing around in pain. And you hear him speak for the first time, and he says, "I believe she understands that she is not in a safe place." And he raises up his fingers, and as he snaps his fingers, he says, "You can stop with the warning." And as he snaps his fingers, Silky calms down. Like she's breathing heavily, just recovering from the pain.
That's a first.
Should we be concerned that he just literally turned off Silky's danger sense?
Very much.
Alright, as long as we're all agreeing.
Well, like, there's much we can do about it right now.
Now that we've all gathered, please, have a seat. Enjoy some food. Eat some food. Enjoy some wine. we have much to discuss.
Sure. I feel like I shouldn't be the one doing this talking, by the way, guys, but no one else is doing it, so...
Normally the host leads.
Oh, is that how this works?
I am back.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
What about this? Screams, I know decorum.
Yes.
So, the gentleman sits down. Obviously, he starts taking some food, filling up his own plate. Irath, of course, does the same.
I'll kind of gesture for everybody else to kind of follow suit.
I'm gonna fill up my plate in the most uncouth manner I think I can. I'm not
Etiquette.
Alistair's not actively trying to be impolite. He just doesn't know how this works.
So, once everybody has their meals, their beverages and such, the gentleman, of course, is going to take some of his food. He's going to eat some of it. He's going to open his eyes and he says, I understand that there's many questions that you all have. But first, introductions. Obviously, you know my daughter, Irath. You know Sven, you know Felfrey. And I know you. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Ornoth Tagoth. And I welcome you to my kingdom. The Underdark capital of Viron. Now, I understand there has been quite a lot happening on the surface that involves, well, most of you. At least 5 of you, counting your little dwarvish friend that is currently attempting to lead a rebellion.
No.
He already knows.
Casually slurps wine.
Don't think it's really leading a rebellion if it's bringing peace to the
Wait,
city.
is it
but-
leading a rebellion to stop a war? Isn't that kind of the reason you generally start a rebellion?
There's not even a rebellion. He's not starting a rebellion. That's the thing, is that people are rebelling because they don't know what to do anymore.
And
At least that was our understanding of it.
this is the precise reason why I called you here. Unfortunately, there was no other way to get in contact with you all, so I sent Sven after you. I sure hope that he upheld his word and hasn't caused you all any harm.
Not intentionally.
Good. As far as I am aware, you have all been gallivanting around the surface, seeking the truth. The truth about everything. History, the kingdoms, the councils. And of course, you have been infiltrating as well, and stealing precious artifacts. So, let's talk. If you weren't able to figure out, I am the one who is behind everything. The councils being in control of the kingdoms and everything else that you have been discovering. I'm going to make this very clear, Nameless. I do not want war. I do not want there to be blood on any of our hands. So, I would like to settle this as professionally as we can. That way, you all will receive the answers that you so desire. I can get back to repairing the damages that were done. And you all can go about living your lives as they were before getting caught up in all of this unnecessary conflicts.
Interesting how we say going back to how things were before this conflict started, but this conflict started before our time even.
Tensions have been rising. They have been for several years now.
And
So
when
we
you
just happened to be the thing to slightly
Spark
move
it.
the tipping point.
Regrettably, yes.
And when you mean by mending, repairing what?
Reestablishing order in the kingdoms in which councils you have dismantled.
Which there's only been
Unintentionally.
one. The Elven Kingdom is hardly shaken.
Perfectly fine.
Well, if anything happens to that, that's my brother's fault.
And Saville shall be dealt with. The wild card in this entire ordeal is you all.
So what ultimately is the end goal here? You say you don't want war, you don't want bloodshed. What is the goal? Other than stability.
I simply seek peace.
But it's peace under false pretense is actually peace.
Do you think peace always comes with honesty, Alistair?
Honest lives are honest, come from honest work. You do stuff in the shadows behind closed doors, not honest.
But in the eyes of the common, but in the eyes of the common, if peace appears to be established, there shall be order.
Guess you make a point. At the end of the day, we never even planned to initially stomp or step on your whole weird infiltrate councils and overtake the whole of society plan. It was just by sheer fucking accident.
And allow me to be the first to, I hope, to properly apologize to you all for being dragged into a destiny in which you all were forcefully set upon.
Oh?
Is that KP?
That was KP. I know, our negotiator.
Oh shit! Oh wait, there she is.
There she is.
Oh no!
What is going on with my Discord?
Discord being
It's done that-
screwed.
It's done that twice now. Today. What was the last thing you guys heard?
He basically was apologizing to you all.
Okay, so that's kind of where
Yeah.
where I cut out. Okay.
Yeah, he just apologized to you all.
Yeah.
The history books failed to mention who started you on this path. But make no mistake, the ink is there. Faded, but true. There is much about history that you all do not know. And while, yes, I understand, I am not a trustworthy person. I am not one who, in the eyes of you from the surface, appears to be the one behind everything. Simply because I am. But in the surface's eyes, I am not a good man. But there are people, and there are beings, who are far worse than I am.
So,
I mean, I believe that.
so where do you propose we go from here?
Well, I am willing to give you all an offer. I am willing to sit here for as long as it takes. No matter how many days or weeks it takes, to answer any and all questions that you have, and answers that you all seek. That, in return, I part you all from your misdeeds against Veron, against me, my daughters.
I don't believe we've necessarily done anything directly against your daughters.
Like it's like a whole family thing. Like
Not-
you slight one, you slight them all.
But
So
we didn't intentionally slight anybody.
And
That's true.
I understand that. From, let's say, a political point, I would be willing to pardon you all for everything that you have done. And therefore, offer you gifts in exchange that you simply do not interfere with my plans.
Well, that raises at least 2 or 3 questions. One, what is your
Well, he has already stated basically
Obviously,
what his
we
goal
know you
is.
want peace. Yeah, but there's got to be more than just wanting peace. The surface was peaceful beforehand, and he still closed silence for some reason and was actively taking over the Elfin capital for some reason. There's more to his plan than he's saying.
And we
Well-
will get there, but perhaps we should hear what he knows of the past. And perhaps it will enlighten some of the current day happenings.
Fair enough.
Better question is, can we trust you?
He's already stated you can't trust him.
I mean, worst case scenario, we see if we can get an audience with the dragons afterwards when we get back to the surface.
The dragons, unfortunately, won't help you. Dragons are honorable creatures, and they hold themselves in high regards. Unfortunately, specific information is being withheld from a contract that I signed with Adrius. You can beg them and give them whatever you desire. They will not break that contract.
I see. So you offered them something they couldn't refuse.
I offered them stabilization, a safe haven to rebuild their destroyed race.
Haven't they already found that in Ebon Keep?
He made Ebon keep. Well, you're saying you're the one who got all the government in the world to allow the existence of Ebon keep and let the dragons live in peace.
It was quite difficult, especially stopping the poachers. And it did take a very long time. But yes, I ordered the construction of Ebon Keep and offered the dragons a home. In exchange, that their knowledge be limited to the public. Of course, travelers can go and seek their help as much as they can. However, as per our contract, specific things were deemed unnecessary for the masses to know. As I stated, in the eyes of the surface, I am not a trustworthy man. So you can sit here and listen to my story and ask me any question you desire to fill in the gaps of this reclamation of history that your entire group is doing. You will have your answers, your parting gifts, and you can go about living your lives as normal. Or, I will offer you a second proposition to receive your information. You can leave here, and I will open the gates to silence. And you can go about and go seek out your master and ask him. But I must warn you, history is always written by the victors. A story of victory for one is a story of defeat to another.
With the other.
As it goes, there's always two sides to a tale.
Two sides of the same coin.
I don't think the coin is the same thing in this case. But that does raise the question. Why did you even close Silent Gates in the first place? It's presumably the first place you took over.
Silence has always been an oddity, even before it was closed.
Yeah, it was odd, but it wasn't reclusive. It wasn't introverted.
No, but they value
Unity.
history higher than anybody. They're rather proud of their heritage.
Yeah,
I would
sort of
imagine-
open door for your point.
But silence is where most of our tales come from. The rise and fall of silence makes for a great fairy tale, no?
I think legend's a better term for it, but I mean, yeah.
And legends hold a measure of truth, but they don't tell
All
all
of
of the
it.
tale.
Oh yeah.
Legends for some, history for others. All folktales in Luavara have some truth to them. The fall being a prime example, well, having been altered slightly to make it more acceptable for the people. The Knight and His Maiden, another familiar fairy tale. A tale of an ancient time and the construction of when silence was first proposed. And while, yes, silence is explicitly shrouded in mystery and many questions as to why the kingdom has been under lockdown for well over 2 years now. It is to be able to give the people closure. While I do believe that they've had more than enough time. They simply just enjoy the isolation.
Would it be possible
Fair
to hear
enough.
both sides of the tale?
I'm more intrigued what closure they want to get.
Wow. Hence why I was asking
Condemn a
about
man for crimes that he technically didn't commit.
supposedly.
Well, from what we've learned of the alterations of history, the King of Silence, who theoretically was the one who was dragged back there, can't confirm or deny any of this information, was forcibly pulled away, and everyone was led to believe he ran away like a coward.
But that would make the King of Silence over 200 plus years old. No human can live that long.
Whoever said the guy was human? No one's ever said the guy is human. Everyone just thinks he's human because he looks like a human. Do you know how many gods just look like humans? Like, Lady Isabella, that person, not a human. I'm putting money on that.
Perception rolls.
Oh, I had a feeling if I said that name.
Man, I sit down and I just instantly hear perception rolls.
Well, you
Yep.
shouldn't be walking away.
Yeah, well, unfortunately I had to.
I had a feeling if I said that name, Josh, something good would happen. Damn it.
Obviously not to you, though.
Damn it, Avian!
There's, thank you. Yeah, he's also like one of the closest people to him, so that tracks.
Rusty, stop showing off.
I know, right?
Stop having good dice.
I mean,
Xavian,
I also have a plus 12 to perception.
yeah, Xavian, it's very, very faint, but you do notice like there was a slight twinge. There was like a slight twitch on Oranoth's face when Alistair brought up Lady Isabella.
Like, just saying. It's the
I'm not
equivalency
gonna
of
say
God.
anything, but I am taking note of that.
It's just like the equivalency of saying this man's guilty for murder. Oh wait, we found the actual murderer. Nah, we're gonna kill the first guy because we thought he did it anyway. I mean, that
crimes-
still doesn't answer the real. Sorry.
The crimes of the Nameless King do not include abandonment.
Ah, he's got other crimes.
The truth lies within his subordinates, escaping the castle of the downfall of silence and rushing away to safety. For as the king lives, silence will never die. Now, you all need to understand something very important. The King of Silence was a very, very well-respected man. He was the symbol of unity within Luavara. He is the one who led Silence into a golden age. And he was the primary reason as to how communications between the kingdoms solidified into what it is today. That was all him. He was a massive public figure. And he upheld his honor. Irath speaks up and says, before he turned king, he was a very charming and persistent knight of silence. And he carried his pride and honor when he was dealing with politics after he took the crown.
I'm sensing a butt here.
He was the perfect example of a leader. A primary example that not all power can corrupt someone, no matter how tempting it was for him. Simply because he had the guidance of two people. He had the guidance of his wife, and he had the blessings of the goddess of neutrality.
So then, what made you want to take him? What made you want to try and recapture him and bring closure to the people of Silence for a guy they thought was already dead?
Because the world knew he wasn't dead.
I think that's news to fucking everybody.
I mean, most assumed he was human, so they would think it unreasonable for him to still.
Still be
Chicken.
alive.
The downfall of silence brought forth a prophecy that the king, once the kingdom fell, the king would uphold his honor and returned to purge the darkness that has shrouded silence with the help of a lightbringer.
Yeah, we know that part.
What the prophecy doesn't say was how long it was going to take. The downfall of silence was one of the darkest days of Luavara's history. And it shows, even to this day. War was not the only thing that happened. The goddess was fed up. But there were things that were happening besides the war that we didn't know about. Not until much, much later. When the king escaped silence, a curse was laid upon the land. And those all who were afflicted were damned to suffer.
Suffer, like, they turn into horrible beasts, they got a cold, their left elbow was itchy every 5 seconds. Like, what kind of suffer are we talking about here, bud?
I am only able to provide a half of that story, for I do not know what the other half experienced.
So then who's the ones who suffered? The people of silence, the people of the Underdark, Luavara as a whole?
Well, obviously Luavara as a whole it took a toll on, but I don't think they necessarily were the main sufferers.
Anyone who was on that battlefield of Castleguard. All of the king's
Okay.
generals, the king himself.
I'll be right back.
Curse of being unable to die.
You don't know
From
how
the
they
sounds
suffer.
of it, you speak as though you were there.
You just weren't a sufferer.
And if everybody suffered,
I suffered too.
Nothing beats a first-hand account of what happened. Most trustful source of information, usually.
and as we've said, there's two sides to the story, and as I was trying to ask before we got started, would it be possible to create a third option with a combination of the two stories? After all, you said it yourself, there's always two sides, and history tends to favor the victor. But as we've seen, even our history is flawed.
It is flawed, but believable.
Yes.
And as I stated,
It's also been tailored to the masses rather than those who care to dig a bit deeper than just the surface.
and in 500 years, no one has bothered.
And in
Until
that
now.
500 years, you steadily took over Silence, the Dwarven Kingdom, and was just about to finish your takeover of the
Yes.
Elven Kingdom in all your name of peace. But what is the goal after peace? Because to my knowledge, things were pretty peaceful before you started removing the kings and queens and implementing councils, from what I've heard.
It's there's pros and cons to changing a government,
Well,
as I'm sure was
but it should be the will of the
weighed.
people who live in that country, not some
And
shadowy figure who lives underneath the ground.
and a lot of it seems to have been the will of the people. Look at how the Dwarven Kingdom is reacting right now.
Who's to know if it was truly ever the will of the people? We don't know who was influenced, who was bought
And
off, who was
sometimes
tricked, who
you
was
don't
scammed.
know. Well, look at us, Alistair. Did we always think we were going to be adventurers?
I didn't really have an option. It's either die or adventure.
Let me put it this way. If you were, I don't know, say a merchant, born to a merchant family, do you think you would perhaps feel the same?
Don't know. Couldn't tell you.
You like money,
All
Alistair.
I'm saying, yeah, good. Money's great. Money, you can do a lot of things with money. I wouldn't have to worry about food all the time if I had money. Hello, demon screeching. But at the same time, what if you were born in the poverty era, Stella? You had money and power and influence at one point.
And
How
I
would you
fell
have
from
these same
that.
noble ideals if you didn't have it at the beginning of your life with? All I'm saying is that as much as our friend here, this lovely individual, is treating us to a delicious meal, which I still might be thinking laced with mild poisons, is spinning a nice golden thread around the tailored history he wants to show and impose. At the same time, there's got to be more to his intent than peace. No man who truly wants peace goes through such shadowy means to get it. Most men, at least from human standards, bare their chest and try to fight for it instead of trying to make backroom deals and taking over governments of countries that were working perfectly fine to begin with.
There's something else you haven't put into factor here, Alistair. Look at where we are. We're in the Underdark.
I'm back.
The Underdark has been shunned by the surface for hundreds of years.
True. There are different ways to atone for the atrocities of the past besides taking over governments. Yeah, they
And
fought. Whoop they fucking do. That's in the past. People may not forget about it, but at the same time, they frankly generally don't care. I don't care. If people have prejudice, that's their own damn problem.
Unfortunately, not everybody thinks as we do, Alistair. As you can see right now, we have different views on what we're hearing. I'm trying to be objective and see both sides of what we're hearing here, but I do see the point that, it does seem a bit off to just, or a bit, maybe not off, but a bit rash, perhaps, to assume that nobody wanted this. Nobody wanted
Yeah.
councils, you know. But it's also safe to, or fair to say that it would be rash to think that everybody didn't want council.
I
You
mean,
know.
look at it this way, Aristella. If the people truly wanted councils, would the King of Dandler be imprisoned? Would Eight's parents be being impersonated? Would silence be cut away from the entire rest of the world?
And as we know it, there's a lot of pieces missing to this puzzle. Which, if we would let this kind sir finish his story, perhaps we can fill in a few of those blanks.
And please, enlighten us, O benevolent host, about your wicked shadow dealings that caused the way the world sits today and how we want to seat it. Your carefully crafted scheme.
Okay, I just want to say something right there. Matt, it sounds like you're gonna... Someone's gonna be sent to the Shadow Realm there because of that.
He almost sounds like a sulking child at this point.
I am a
Sulking
sulking child. Have you met me?
About 95% of the time.
Oof.
Alistair is mature when needs to be. This instance, he's gonna play the I'm the dumb human who doesn't live more than maybe 50 years card, and I could just be an asshole because I have a short lifespan compared to you idiots.
Yeah, you want to make it even shorter?
Sure, why not? I don't care.
I believe you were looking for someone, weren't you?
Shh, you don't know that.
Well, no, we're talking out of character right
I
now.
know. I'm well aware.
But, shush.
You don't know that. I can't let you think that he's caring. I can't let you think that he's caring and considerate. That ruins this entire vibe of being just
Like
moody
we
and
didn't
angsty.
say your caring and considerate time aside with oh, what was her name?
Oh,
It's on the tip of my tongue here. I can't think of what it is.
Come on, you got it. You got it, KP.
I can't. Somebody help me out here.
Come on, you got it. You got it. It's there.
It's stuck and it won't budge. It's the problem.
I'm not saying it because I'm enjoying this much more.
Savior. Oh.
If what you believe I'm after is world domination, you are far from wrong. You are far from correct.
I mean, I never assumed you wanted to rule the world, but you're doing something weird. I can't argue that.
That's an interesting roundabout way of things, but
Then please enlighten us, because everything that we've seen has led to us believing that you truly just want to control the world from the Underdark. You aligned yourself with slavers who abduct people and force them to work. You've aligned yourself with just people who are actively trying to hide the truth from people. Everything we've seen based off our folklore and legends have placed you in the role of villain. Please stop giving us weird shadowy statements and just come clean with what your intent is.
sorry, I'm sure you've heard that he's rather blunt.
I got blunt arrows, pointy arrows, fire arrows. I can make an arrow that curves, but it won't be very good.
Just like his wit.
Well, someone's gonna keep the rest of you fucking aristocrats in line.
Well,
Hey,
he's
I'm not an aristocrat anymore. Thanks to a certain
Technically, she was
someone.
royalty. I'm an aristocrat, or ex-aristocrat.
I enjoyed how much
uh,
this party got mad at that
and-
statement.
And Xavion's just like a chieftain's son, like not really aristocratic. He's just more of like The
You had a
mayor's
house. That's
kid.
you had a house. That's an aristocrat to me.
Look, I'll build you a house myself.
I built myself a house,
There, you're a
And then-
aristocrat.
and then it fell down, and I haven't figured out how to build another one.
Did you make it out of straw?
No, I used wood, but it was kind of like a weird shelter. It was like a lean-to. I called it a house because I just lived in it for a while because I didn't have any
This is
money
very
hiding
understanding.
living in the woods.
All right, we are off topic now, gentlemen.
Yeah. What's your intent?
My end goal is I simply wish to find my answer to breaking this curse. I seek death.
Are you? Was
Could you
everyone
tell us
cursed with
more?
immor-
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, was everyone cursed with immortality on that field? Like, was everyone who was on that battlefield cursed with immortality?
Some.
The high ranking, I take it.
Some.
The key. Sorry, I should say the key players.
Some.
Approximately how many people were?
As far as I am aware, 3.
So obviously yourself.
The King of Silence.
Who would be the third?
I'm once again gonna get pitched Lady Isabella. She's
So-
weird.
Silky is gonna look up and say, Didertius.
Oh.
He was gonna be my next guess. He's.
I assumed he was like a construct or something.
No, we already ruled out he was a construct long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, we proved that he's human.
Yeah. But he's
It's
from a
just that-
different plane.
He
It's
is
just that he has so much fucking enchantments on him, it's fucking blinding.
Didertius the Loyal. Born and raised as a knight in silence, guarding the outer gates of the walls.
But don't we? Out of game. Haven't we figured out how to kill the Dercius technically?
You did figure out how to beat him.
Not kill him. Get
There-
around him.
I'll tell you later. I'll explain it later.
No. I know how. I just wasn't sure if it was a beat or a kill.
No, you
No,
know
okay.
you know how
It's
to
a workaround,
beat him.
essentially.
Yeah.
There was no way of killing.
You-
It's a
That's why I said.
Yes.
That's why I say I'll explain later.
That right there. You guys now know the 3 immortals that are on Luavara.
Ooh, fancy. So you want to die is basically all you want to figure out.
I always harbored the idea of immortality. Never really had a thought of it until, well,
It happened.
it already has happened.
I see.
I mean, yeah.
What exactly happened when you said it was in the midst of the battle that the curse was placed?
It was more towards the ending.
As silence was ready to fall.
No. Silence already fell. We were in control of the castle.
I'm
Then
just gonna pitch just one here real quickly. Sorry to interrupt. Would not completing the prophecy theoretically kill you?
every curse was different.
Okay, go on.
So do you understand the workings of your curse?
I do not.
Have you had anybody try to look into it? And compare them with the other two?
The problem with finding out the solution to one's curse was impossible until it just happens. I've had many of my generals complete their curses, died off centuries ago. But there's something about my curse. I simply do not know what it is, or how to fix it.
Have you had different magic users try to take a look?
Nah, I think we're looking at a self-fulfilling prophecy type of thing, where he's gonna do something ultra specific, and it needs to work in a very specific sort of events, and that way, boom, he dies. Congratulations.
I mean, I- I'm sure you've probably figured out who cursed you by now.
I do.
It's a safe bet, the gods.
What the heck is trying to call me?
No,
The gods.
1 second.
Yep, take your time.
not the gods themselves. One.
Neutral lady?
Correct.
So you take over the governments of the overworld to figure out the ending of your curse? Sorry, I'm having a little difficulty wrapping my head around what government overthrowing, shadow installing your own government leads you to figuring out how to die.
It is me understanding the enemy. When I was much younger, during the entirety of the war, to put things lightly, I was a very tunnel-visioned individual. I never saw the broader spectrum as to the reasons for unification, cooperation. Down here, it's the survival of the fittest. After the fall, the world didn't know what to do. 10 years of chaos. Until I finally said that enough was enough. It took 50 years to implant my soldiers into the kingdoms. It took 75 for us to realize the curse. And it took us 400 years to finally return the surface world to what it was.
Alright, if that's the case, why are you still meddling? Wouldn't it be you just that controlling over the little of what you've made that you won't let anyone mess it up? Like, they're gonna fuck up. That's just nature. No government's perfect.
and my men know exactly how to handle it.
Yeah, but you're stagnating the people in the field. Without, if you always put the people that you want in charge, the rise of new ideas, or people who want to change things, all may look obtrusive to what your soldiers want. So thereby they get rid of those people who want to we make things for the better.
Those intentions, as I said, were to maintain order. The disappearances of people, the dark things that I've had to order, to maintain everything that I have built up. I surely wish that I didn't have to do it. Luavara cannot afford a war. It can't.
But if you realize that you're someone, if not we didn't come around, would have eventually realized what was going on. And then this all would have happened again.
And I am.
Consider just letting go of the reins and letting Luavara figure it out for itself. A child needs to learn to walk eventually.
It would lead.
If you always let it crawl, it's never gonna figure out how to run.
It would lead to the complete destruction of the region.
Are you sure? You've seen this? You have a prophecy? You're sure? You're positive? You've seen this in the future. You've seen the gods. They gave you divine intervention. You're positive this will happen.
I saw it on the fires. I saw it through the fires on the battlefield of Castleguard.
You're one man dictating the entire continent and how it works. Your ideals are so outdated that modern society isn't exactly what you think it is anymore. You've been down here, isolated, slowly and strategically taking out with pinpoint precision what you believe is opposition. But opposition's not necessarily a bad thing. The bear needs to hunt the deer to survive, but the deer has antlers to hit back on the bear. That is the nature of things.
You have a tight rein on the entire region. For what? Simply because you just want to know if taking over would break your curse and allow you to die?
You ever considered that letting go might break your curse and let you die?
I wouldn't have been.
Finally giving up the war? Finally stopping the fight that you started years ago?
That is what I figured would be best. After the entire surface world was united, for some reason I still lived. Then, in the last 100 years, a chain of events just continued to go down and down and down.
So it seems like nothing's really changed for your curse.
And I didn't know exactly what to do afterwards. Let the world go about as it is. But then, things began to splinter. People got comfortable.
Comfortable how? Like the fact that you put them in power so they didn't have to worry about anything and they did horrible things.
Or until something came up and they thought that they could handle it themselves. There was a serpent.
Screw up.
There was a leak of information that regrettably led to a splinter group enacting the mass murder of a family that surely did not need to die.
I look over towards Katie's character, which is like,
I think we all look at Katie's
Like-
character
like-
at this point.
where have I heard? Like, where have we heard this before?
Can we not stare at me, guys?
Not staring at you as in like you're the one who did it, but more like you were the part of that family. That
True. That happened. But no matter what you do, it's gonna happen. Mortal beings are intentionally greedy. They have their own wants and desires. You can't control everything. If you could, you'd be a god. All you are is an immortal
Good night.
guy with a fancy house under the ground. You can try all you want, you're never gonna control everything. You can't control which way the grass grows, or the wind blows, or how many petals are on a daffodil. If you could, you'd be a god, but you're not. So stop thinking you are.
Simply do not believe that I am a god.
And we are saying we believe you aren't either. You're just a unfortunate soul who was cursed with a rather nasty curse, I might add. But perhaps there's a link between you, Didurtius, and the King of Silence, since all three of you are the last remaining recipients of this curse. Have you thought that there could potentially be a connection? You were three main characters in that day's events. The right hand of the
Awesome,
king,
what you're
the
saying.
king, and the proposed villain.
Also, from the sounds of things, all three were very honorable people to an extent in your own right. So,
To your own people. Yes.
I am just simply trying to atone.
And as I said, perhaps clues can be found. Yes, every cursed individual is just that, an individual. But usually for the one doing the cursing, there's a signature of sorts. A common theme. Perhaps if you find that common theme, you can find a hint to your own.
I don't know. To me, it sounds like you're still a soldier fighting a war.
And sometimes people people get stuck in what they're familiar with. And sometimes they just need someone else to push them out of the box.
Dershis' curse is simple.
He's connected to the.
He is simply connected to his duty and his honor.
So why has his curse not been broken?
He has not been relieved of his duty.
The King of Silence is the only person who can relieve him of that duty. You're the last 3 soldiers of a war. Finally end the war. Only kings can sign a peace. Kings can sign a peace treaty. And once the peace treaty is signed, the soldier stands down.
It could be as simple as that, setting pride aside to do what's right.
There's no reason for the Underdark to be banished the way it is anymore. Things have changed anyway. But if you continue it the way you're acting, considering people not know the truth for the most part, it's only gonna make the Underdark be painted as villains again. You're self-fulfilling your own villaincy. You're perpetuating yourself through an ongoing cycle of continuing to make you guys the bad guys.
Self-destruction.
Self-destruction does not equalize being victims.
No. But martyrizing yourself doesn't do anybody good either.
We had no way to prove our innocence.
And you didn't exactly give anybody a chance to help either.
No, because the world was thrown in chaos for a decade.
That's the world. It was born in chaos. It will die in chaos. That's how things work. You can't control the world. It's chaotic in nature.
All
We
you
can't
can do
control the seasons. We can only understand it.
I did not want war with silence.
So tell us your side of the story. Who started the war? You make it sound like Silence started the war. Everybody else makes it sound like the Underdark started it.
Silence.
What was the cause of the war to begin with?
The death.
Nobody ever mentions it.
The death of the queen.
Oh.
Silence is queen?
Can we ask how she died?
Nobody even mentions her.
Hell, I don't think anyone knew she had a queen. They had a queen, to
Well,
be honest.
I mean,
It's not in the history.
it hasn't been recorded in any of the history that we've found.
Picture.
The picture?
Oh, the one at the stairs?
Wait. Yeah, Silky, you're right.
The elf standing next to.
Savian's mother.
Oh.
It makes more sense now, but she was never listed in history. So, since she was never listed in history, nobody could ever draw the link. What even happened?
She was tragically assassinated.
By...
We don't know. I have been looking into that secret for 500 years and I cannot find an answer.
So it seems like there's another mysterious party involved.
You have no idea.
You're right. We don't. Tell us. We seem to be the only people on this plane, in this continent right now, who are able to make any forward progress in any issues allaying this entire region. So let us help you.
or at least attempt to understand. I mean, you were looking for some sort of understanding for how long? You brought us here to reach an understanding. But if you don't let us give us the information, how are we to understand much of anything if we don't have all of the facts? It's like giving a child a hammer and expecting them to know how to build a building.
I was about to say something else completely different there.
You have been attacking Father for quite a while during this conversation. You all regrettably forget the one thing that he told you about.
History
Is-
records the victor.
No. That any questions that you have, he is willing to answer.
But if we don't know the right questions to ask, where do we start?
Start at the beginning then. What caused the war with Silence? Hearsay is what I heard, is where I've heard of what happened on the surface. I was going to be trying to attempt to unite at least even a basic trade route between the surface and the Underdark. I sent a group of ambassadors to the surface, people who were able to withstand the harshness of the sun. I sent a group of ambassadors to Silence in order to discuss a trade route, a possible construction to lead down into the Underdark and slowly begin to introduce everything from both halves of the world. I was fighting my own battles down here, trying to unite the vampire houses, the wolf clans, to quell the undead hordes that plagued our lands.
Wait, there are actually vampires down here? That's so cool.
Alistair, comments and save the comments.
Sorry, I got held up on that. I didn't know they were.
He's having an orgasm.
All of this negativity down here that I have been trying to resolve, I wanted to shed some light.
But the other clans didn't approve.
Not at the time. When my ambassadors made it to Silence, I didn't hear from them for weeks on end. I didn't want to assume. It wasn't until the news of the Queen's assassination reached the Underdark. And my ambassadors were framed for the murder. Silence attacked first. They sent a platoon of paladins, their strongest fighters, to my lands. They slaughtered innocents. I acted in retaliation.
Unfortunately, violence begets violence.
I reached out to the king.
But he was so lost in his grief. I can imagine.
He wanted none of it.
Couldn't see reason.
So, I launched a counterattack. The counterattack proved effective, and it eventually led to the invasion of the surface. us everything that you read within the Fall, or you know about the Fall of Silence, played out. Castleguard was infiltrated. The fields were littered in bodies and blood.
As is common, my lord. So it sounds like something isn't adding up. There's a third party at work here. Would any of the other clans be bold enough to directly go against you at that time?
No. We had no allies. We were sought as fools for attacking the surface, let alone the kingdom guarded by a god.
Perhaps a chat with Dodurtius could shed some light. Rather than the king, of course, you know, he's got his side of the story too, but he might be too emotional to
This-
see.
This may sound stupid, but have you ever considered that maybe your ambassadors were paid off by other houses of the Underdark to actually commit this crime?
No. I looked into that.
Alright, as long as you did. It would be hubris if you didn't.
I have a question.
Speak.
Were there any rumors of any major movements on the surface around that time?
None.
I think perhaps a chat with Dodurtius could shed more light on perhaps what was going on on the surface at that time.
Or even some
I
of the
suppose
elven
you and
dragons.
Dodurtius aren't exactly on friendly terms.
I spoke with him.
But he didn't know much more than you did.
Correct. And the only reason why I know of Dodurtius and I know of his curse is because I tried freeing him. I watched my generals and all of my men suffer from that war, begging for death. And seeing the state of Dodurtius just pains me.
Hey, we made him look. We fixed his armor.
At least he doesn't look in rough shape anymore. Though it's been quite some time since we've been out that way.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you need to get together with Dodurtius and the King of Silence and find the missing link. Because that missing link just may be the link to your curses. Dodurtius's sounds simple enough, but I'm sure there's a trick to it. There's usually a trick to every curse. It could be as simple as, you know, he just has to be released by the King of Silence. But it could be something more.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
There is one common link.
Oh,
And from what I figured, at least according to the events of the last 50 years, I did have a theory about my curse. the problem with my theory is that I believe my curse is also tied with the king's.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Would you think that possibly figuring out whoever actually started the war would be linked behind you and the king, thereby freeing you both from your curses once you figure out the true assailant?
No.
Maybe not figuring out the true assailant, but perhaps being able to put prejudices aside and grudges aside to make peace. But I don't think that would be possible without finding the third party.
Well,
Right.
it was only up until 3 years ago where I believe that I have found the link.
Oh. What link do you think you found?
One that has been missing for half a millennia. And she's sitting right there.
Oh, you mean the Lightbringer.
So, if you believe she plays a part in your breaking your curse, what exactly is the cause? I'm not sure what exactly it is with Silky that makes her more acutely aware of danger.
Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
But it's sometimes, it's like you said, it seems to play into you and the king's curse. But the question is, how so? I have to say, we were pretty amazed earlier when you managed to just turn her pain off like as simple as snuffing out a candle.
Is simply isolating her mind.
So it's an outside interference.
And what's talking to her?
Miss Silky, you need to understand one thing. As of right now, you are the most important person in the entire world. Not just Luavara, of all of Apinox.
But I thought it was only a Luavara legend.
We
How
thought
does it tie in with the rest of the world?
we thought so too. Because there are parts of the fall that were left out.
Care to fill in the details so as to diagnose? I know it's not a pleasant thing to remember,
It's not
but
just.
we are also just trying to understand.
It's not
And
so
if it
much
involves our
as.
friend,
It's not so much as a thing that is difficult to remember. It's whether or not you would believe me.
well, let me put it to you this way, sir. Our friend who literally became part of our party as an escort quest is now the Lightbringer. I don't think you get more unbelievable than that.
Yeah.
And now you're telling us that she plays a bigger role than just our region of the world. That she plays a major part in the world of as a whole. It's, we seem to come across more and more extraordinary things every day. Needless to say, we've had to become a bit more open-minded. As you have said before, you're open to questions. If we need to clarification, we can always ask a question.
What was left out of the fall? There were 2 events during the fall that have led me into what I do now. There is an old tale a very, very old tale that tells of a creature that feeds on events happening in a region of a world. War is one of them.
Could you tell us more about this creature? Like,
Wait a minute. You bastard.
What?
No, I just want to hear. I just want to hear confirmation first. What is the creature that feeds on such like this? Hello?
I'm looking up the
He has to find the name.
proper term, the proper thing here. Give me a second. A legend long ago that reads as follows. Then I saw when the Lamb broke one of the 7 seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying, as with a voice of thunder, "Come." I looked, and I behold a white horse, and he who sat on it had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went out conquering and to conquer. The pale man bearing the weapons of war atop of a white horse.
Is this the horseman?
It's the fucking horseman.
Oh god damn it! Hello, Warbo, old friend.
Why do we always find war? I'm just asking for a friend here at this
Just
point.
war. War never changes.
No, I'm just cursed with war, okay?
A creature who I simply thought was mere fairy tale showed me that all folk tales have truth to them.
Yeah.
That aura was something I will never forget. And then there was nothing but a flash.
So you're saying the Pale Horseman killed the king's wife?
No.
And...
No, no,
Okay,
no.
okay, there's more of this.
No, because if it was that simple, the aura he speaks about, everyone would have felt that.
That's fair.
The horseman is why I am avoiding war.
But there's something else lurking in the shadows, or else he wouldn't be lurking around.
They are creatures that I never would have thought existed. Ones that I didn't even know were possible. They came to me and they offered me eternity. They offered me power and passage. I wanted none of it.
And so they cursed you?
No. They slaughtered the gods.
They slaughtered the gods?
What the hell are you talking about? They're gods. They're overseers of the entire world, the entire planes. Everything. They're puppeteers. They're merely pawns in a bigger game.
I mean, so are we technically, but...
You are merely specks of dust to them.
Well, at this point...
Unless if they deem you worthy.
So they have a different pawn in play. And it's just a matter of figuring out what that pawn is.
Or who? These sound like individuals who just kind of torment people for their own amusement because they got nothing better to do.
No. It is because they wish to grow their numbers. You all live in a world that is a breeding ground for these people. You may think that everything is just oversought by gods and divine beings that which you pray to and receive divine powers from. That is what it used to be. Not anymore. You are simply given the powers of divine aspects. Divine magic is merely a gift to make everything seem normal. As if the gods still exist. I can tell
So
you.
basically, somebody's playing house.
Correct. I can tell you they don't. Luavara, Endroth, Astria, every region of Apanox are just breeding grounds for these things. And Demrin is just the final test. It is difficult to believe, I know. But I can prove it. He's gonna raise his hand up again and he's gonna snap his fingers again. He's gonna look over to Silky and say, now that you are done torturing the poor child, do you wish to speak your own words? And he sits there and stares at Silky for a little bit until you all look and see her left eye start to ignite again.
Oh, not this.
Of course, Silky is in pain again, crying out, clutching her face and her eye again. And he calls out to her and he says, "Let it in, child. Give in. It will not harm you."
You're sure on that?
She wouldn't dare harm her precious vessel. So Silky is gonna just sit up a little bit, very carefully remove her hand, just close her eyes, and then after about a minute or two of her just wincing in pain, her body goes completely limp. Eventually, you're gonna see her, shudder a little bit. Roll her neck. Her eyes open again. And now, instead of the monochromatic blue and yellow, they're now both blue. You tell them the story, the slaughtering of my people. But yet you still hold powers of those who did it. All of us had to make some sacrifices.
I'm sorry, what? Huh? Who's talking?
I'm assuming the goddess.
You silence god lady of neutrality.
That would be
think I
correct.
made her mad. Oh, okay, thank God. Whew. Alright, well, noted. Lady Isabella is not the goddess of neutrality. Marking that off the list of who the hell she is.
My name is Arena. And yes, I used to be the goddess that oversights silence.
You also the one who cursed our lovely host here and the king and the Dershus, or was that a different god?
I am.
Oh. You want to tell him how to undo his curse?
It's not that easy.
She knows. I mean, what's the harm in asking?
The curse was laid upon the individuals in order to teach them their lessons.
Cryptic god mumbo jumbo.
And in 500 years, Oranoth, you have learned nothing. Same could be.
Apparently, much can be said about the remaining two from your own city, ma'am. Not to be rude, but it's just kind of the way things stand right now. And if what we've been hearing is true, then we have a far bigger problem than three knuckleheads not learning their lesson.
You can sit there and speak all you want, goddess. Nothing will compare to the failure of your champion.
Hey, Sophie's trying
Now
her
let's
best.
not go and picking fights here. The past is the past. It's not gonna bring the dead back to life.
It's not simply picking a fight, it's speaking the truth.
And
You
that may be
you
so, but
you ended up dragging an innocent child into this mix. One who has already suffered enough. You simply couldn't choose another vessel. But instead, you decided to make those who were there suffer more. So tell me, goddess, you've heard my side of the story. What of your precious champion? Where the hell has he been for the last 500 years?
apparently rescuing the poor child that you were speaking of. And sitting here laying the blame at each other's feet gets us nowhere. Yes, we would like to hear the other side of the story, but throwing blame around isn't going to fix the problem. Ultimately, somebody encouraged the war, and both of you fell for it.
I damn well know who did this.
Then why are we not all working together to come up with some sort of, at least precautionary measure against them?
Because they're probably long dead and gone. It's been like 200, 500 years.
If we're talking about the White Horsemen, I'm sure they do not die easily,
Well,
seeing as they were able to take down gods, apparently.
the Horsemen of War had nothing to do with the downfall of my people. The Horseman of War was simply an observer, feeding off of the life forces of those who were dying on that battlefield.
He's a parasite.
So what happened on the surface during that time? There's only so much written history, and mortals do not live as long as some. But even some of the older races seem to either be unwilling to share their knowledge, indifferent, or just simply didn't care enough to keep track of history.
The king couldn't bear the loss of his wife.
But how did it happen? The Underdark was supposedly framed for it. But what else was going on the surface? There's no way that it was just an assassination attempt. If knowing that people from the Underdark were coming, I'm sure the king had his reservations.
He took good care of your people. You need to understand that. He honored them. He welcomed them under his own roof. He was not able to accept the fact that they were the ones who did not commit the crime.
So who did? Was it a betrayal of someone close to him?
No. Children, you must understand. What he speaks of this world is true. You are dust in the wind to a much bigger game in play.
Then why drag us into it in the first place?
Because I thought I can redeem His Majesty. I was wrong.
And instead you've endangered everyone.
Simply out of cowardice.
Then turn the cowardice into courage. Because I don't know about anybody else here, but I'm kind of tired of seeing everybody die around me.
I mean, yeah, I mean, 8's died like 12 times. I'm kind of sick and tired of that.
Okay. I'm sorry things just don't like me, okay?
Get better at combat.
What are we up against?
Who are we up against? Is the better question.
Hey, I'll remember this. Little dialogue pops above Alistair's head.
That's fine.
Hey,
You know how
remember-
quickly, given how easily it is to take you down, you know how quickly I could reduce you to a pincushion?
You've done it before, you'll do it again. I know it.
I never intended for any of you to be involved in this. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't correct.
Oh no, everyone fucked up. What a shocking revelation.
What you're up against is eternity.
Like, growing old and just the way things work?
No.
Please elaborate. I'm afraid we're not really familiar with what you're speaking of.
The assassination of the Queen of Silence was conducted by a species. A complete outsider species that slipped under our radar. That slipped between our fingers. We didn't notice their presence until it was far too late.
So we have an infestation that's overrun.
And it's far too late to stop them. They call themselves the Eternals. They're godlike figures that were stronger than all of us. While your people were above ground and being hosted by silence, an Eternal snuck into the castle and assassinated the queen, triggering the events that have oversight everything within the last 500 years. It wasn't just your region that was hurt with it either.
So the whole world was affected, as he was saying.
That flash that you saw, Oranoth, that flash was the final blow that was dealt to the Pantheon. There's no one left. No one but yourself. How did you escape? I sealed myself in the sword.
It's actually not a bad idea.
I sealed myself away in the sword, and I transported myself and His Majesty off plane.
So what was the plan?
The plan that I had in mind was simply to have the king redeem himself. Prove that he is worthy once again to receive my blessing, so that way I can undo the curse with him and the rest of the world. The rest of Luavara. I did not intend it to take 500 years.
So
Every
you reached out to Silky to try and knock sense into him, or
No,
how does she play into this?
I'm getting there. I put him through trial after trial, hunting down every single person that was on his side, hoping to reunite something within him to bring him back to the king he once was. He only got worse.
I'd say, God, I'd tell you that nothing's more frail than man's ego.
It eventually started to get to the point where he wasn't drawing me, and in the name of justice and balance, he was starting to draw the weapon just to shed blood. Enacting his frustrations out on different worlds. I had to stop him. Using the last of my strength, I cursed the sword. And it wasn't only until recently that part of that seal was broken.
The metalhead blood.
She's gonna reach down, pick up the sword. Of course, she's not gonna do this over the table. She's gonna, move her chair out a little bit. And for the first time, you guys are actually going to see her pull the blade out just like a quarter of the way. And you guys are going to see like the decoration of the hilt, and then you're gonna therefore also see the shining blue of the star metal that the sword is made out of. But as she pulls the sword out, you start to see what appears to be like little sheets of like this hard plates just falling from the sheath. And she just shakes it out, just like this small little pile of like these little like dark platelets. She resheaths the sword and hooks it back to her belt, and she says, the blood of the sands to melt this, the blood of the wastes to burn away the tyranny, is one of the seals I have on this blade.
You wanna tell us the others, or we gotta play a guessing game again?
You follow its creation.
Yeah, but we already been through most of its creation.
We went through it in the
Sans
wrong
near-
order.
You've been to many of the locations that are needed to cleanse the blade. Your friend, if she truly wishes to be, has to prove herself as the Lightbringer. You're gonna see Oranoth just shake his head in disappointment.
And what good does being the Lightbringer do? You said you're the only one left, and you don't have any power left. She would have to protect herself, defend herself
Yeah, what's the
from
point of
this
bringing the
power
light?
that is. Even you've said that you feel there is no hope. If even the goddess, one of the gods of our realm, doesn't even have faith in us, what faith should we have in ourselves? At this point, you make it seem like the world's a lost cause.
There is a way to escape.
Escape the
Down
destruction,
a boat, set off the edge of the
or just escape for those who can attain it.
There is a way to escape, Apinox. To escape the Eternals, to escape everything.
But what good does it do when it's the only world we've ever known? You essentially want us to give up everything we've ever known for a slim possibility that's not even guaranteed. And in the end, it also rests on Silky and what she.
Silky has a
For all
Silky
the
now has a purpose in life.
But she was just getting to be content with life before this burden was placed upon her. She wasn't asked for it. She didn't ask for it.
As I stated before, you brought an innocent child into your game.
Game isn't quite the right word. gamble is more of the word I would use.
The people like them aren't gonna die any day soon. It feels like a game to them, which is basically a gamble for us. They're so far above us, they don't even consider the value of life that we have anymore.
For one who's claims to have cared for their people, you don't seem to be taking very good care of the people you claim to care so much for. You've lost your will to fight for what you believe in. To even try to do good now that you feel like your plan has crumbled.
My plan crumbled when I came to the realization that the king was irredeemable. As of now, I am trying to atone for what I've done. And I am trying to undo the curse that I have done. However, it is not possible without a vessel. Without a Lightbringer, your curse, Onaroth, cannot be undone.
As was suspected.
So please, you can sit there and peg me as the bad guy. But how much longer do you want to wait for your curse to be undone? How many more of your children do you want to watch die?
Miss, there's another thing. He's not the only one cursed, remember? So giving him a scathing scolding isn't really fair unless you do it to the other two as well.
About to say, Tertius is more of just kind of an unwitting, just kind of got
He
stuck
was
in this
cursed
shit
for a
set.
reason.
He
We
was
may
cursed 'cause
not
he's
know the
loyal.
reason.
Put money on he was cursed because he's a soldier, loyal to his king to the end.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more to it than just that.
Hey, God lady, there's no more to it than just that.
If the
So where do we go from here? Is the next question. We all seem to be at a stalemate for what we can do and where we go from here. We can sit here pointing fingers, but it's going to get us nowhere.
The king is the only one who can relieve Tertius.
I called it.
Oh, that was already stated.
If Tertius were to leave his post at any point in time, before the king relieves him, he will be damned for all of eternity. And as you all saw, he is not
Deserving of that.
he does not deserve it.
But he is even upholding it as much as he can.
Why don't we all make a trip to Silence and have a chat with your other one? He may not want to hear what he has to hear, but perhaps hearing and seeing things with his own eyes here can perhaps waken him to some sort of sanity that he's.
That is, if you are willing to open the gates. I can grant you all exclusive access if you so wish.
I mean, we could have gotten in, but we decided not to because we knew it would be dumb.
so is sending in a spy.
Hey,
What, isn't
Talon's
really a
from
spy?
there. She's
It's
from
not-
there. We just sent her home.
Yes, in the seek of knowledge of what's happening inside.
Can you blame her?
No.
She had friends and family there. She wanted to know. And it was kind of a twofold like, hey, you learned something, we learned something about weird Mystery City being closed. Can't harm us for being curious.
And Talon's got a good head on her shoulders.
Yeah, better
She's
than
not
we do.
rash. But perhaps, Xavian, we should bring your parents along. Seeing as your mother once met with the king, perhaps it would stir something.
I am curious. What is my mother's connection to the king?
Your mother was the former Archmage of Silence.
And the queen's
shit.
best friend, I take it.
They did have a friendly relationship.
Not quite best friends, but friends.
Your mother was experimenting with summoning during the time this whole debacle of assassination was happening. When it was learned that she was able to summon a demon, for her own safety, it was determined to simply erase her mind of the events that were happening in Silence and give her a livable life in the desert.
Unfortunately, it seems to have done more damage than good at this point. But I can see that it was meant to help, but sometimes even the best intentions go awry.
I think putting too much faith in a guy whose wife just got killed, he fought a war and then learned he was gonna live forever and never be able to see his wife in the afterlife is putting too much faith in a long colluded scheme. You never know what's gonna break a person. Eternal life is a curse for humans. We're so used to knowing that we'll die.
Well, even those with longer lifespan, it can be a curse.
It wasn't because of the loss of his wife that drove the king into the point of irredeemable. It was what he experienced through my trials is what broke him.
What kind of trials did you put him through that broke him?
What you do? Throw him in a pit of snakes and tell him to crawl?
No. It was simple. Take him to a world in which he was unfamiliar with. Show him what he was able to accomplish. Show him where he started again. Show him that he is more than capable of being a prominent leader. That he still is able to bring peace and balance to nations. What I wasn't anticipating was the amount of time that has passed in each of those worlds and the people that were sent there. Namely, his old friends and generals.
You basically had him friends.
No. I did not want him to kill them.
He chose to.
Mm. Well, rule one, lady. Humans, we're fucking stupid.
So he mistook what your intentions were.
He assumed you used the blade of justice, dealing out your righteous fury.
But his sight of balance was far too corrupted.
His wife was his balancing.
The scale needs to be equal on both sides for it to work.
She was his counterbalance. And when he lost her, he lost his balance.
Your lack of human experience blinded you from that.
Perhaps wiping some of his memory and giving him a chance to start over with one last trial that perhaps him and Silky do would be a way to go about it. To truly test and see if he is redeemable. Because the error on your part caused it to be an unfair trial.
Perhaps. But that still doesn't help with the fact that without a Lightbringer, the curse cannot be undone.
This is true. Hence why, if Silky would like to continue on the path of being a Lightbringer, the suggestion of them both doing a trial together. There'll be certain criteria that must be met, but overall, it would be a fairly sure way of determining their abilities. Just a thought. But perhaps we should talk to both of them first before making any decisions.
You heard my standpoint on this, Goddess Irina. I simply want this to be over. Whether or not your champion will agree to these terms is to be seen. I will reopen the gates to silence.
I mean, we don't necessarily have to go through the main gate if you want to keep it mostly closed off.
No.
No reason to keep them closed at this point.
It's deserved enough. It's been isolated for far too long. It is hindering trade, and quite frankly, it's upsetting more people than I'm willing to admit.
Fair enough.
My advice to you, Goddess Irina, So before you walk through those gates, you better tell that poor child what she's walking into.
Oh, this is entertaining.
Is there perhaps a way for her to converse with you, goddess? Seeing as you inhabit the sword and use her body as a conduit, I mean, I would assume there's some way for you to communicate with each other.
My powers are still very limited.
Yes, but if she's holding the sword,
We only exist as two separate entities.
Well, releasing more of the seals in the sword, ease the flow of communication.
It would help.
We also need
In order to have full connection with her conscious, she has to receive a blessing.
and how does she prove herself worthy of such a thing?
By becoming Lightbringer.
But before that, we need to know what her wishes are. So do we perhaps have her write down her questions and concerns and communicate that way with you? Of course, you would hear it, but she wouldn't be able to necessarily be able to actively communicate.
Your friend does have the choice of whether or not she wants to become what her destiny lies. If she chooses not to,
There's nothing to be done.
more will suffer.
So not only do we need to figure out.
That's not a choice. You realize that, goddess. That's not a choice, that is an ultimatum.
Either way, the choice is still up to Silky. I'm just wondering how we can communicate answers to her questions between the two of you, seeing as you can't actively communicate with each other.
The most I can do is guide Silky.
We also gotta figure out the backwards version of the forging with the sword.
Alright. Then in that case, should she decide to be the Lightbringer, I suppose the next steps would be to finish purifying the sword.
Gotta go back to Dandelier, the Boreal Tides.
No, we already were in Dandelier. That was the first
We didn't
place
break-
we were.
We didn't break the seal there, though.
That's where it was forged.
You only
But
broke you only broke one seal. That was here in the desert.
We don't know the full extent of the seals anyway. We've made a relatively educated guess.
Well,
But
we need
what
to
would
figure
be?
out what.
I was just going to ask her. Give me 5 seconds.
No.
What's Sassy?
I've
More
been
sass.
corrected by Alistair like all night, so give me 5 seconds.
That's what I'm here for. I'm a pain in the ass.
So, should Silky choose to continue down the path of Lightbringer, what steps must we take to purify the sword to release the seals from here on out? Since it seems to be rather taxing for you and Silky to switch places to communicate.
Retracing your path, retracing the path of the creation of the sword is a good start. This path towards reclamation must be maintained by true neutrality.
Okay. So she can't veer to any one side. She has to do it for herself.
She must do it not for herself, but for all. As is the way of the golden age of silence.
Alright. At least we have a place to start. I suppose all that remains now is to ask Silky. Because without Silky and her opinion, we can't really move forward now, can we? Does anybody else have anything to add?
No, we just gotta. Clarification though: are the beasts the kitsunes, or is the beast somewhere else in the world?
The Kitsunes used to be a part of the nation of beasts. They are no longer.
So the nation of
They are
beasts
their-
are the marshlands.
So they are now their own entity.
So we would need to go
Understood.
down to. I can't remember the actual name of the place, Josh.
The Warrior Marsh.
We would need to go down to the Warshore March, is what you're saying?
Correct.
And Vari, we apologize. This must be terribly confusing to you. And a
Var is
terribly
like
large information.
downing wine and just like chilling, listening
He's
to
just like,
everything.
I'm just gonna
like
sit here and get drunk.
this is fine. Like whatever's happening is happening.
It's like, I'm just gonna enjoy the wine, the food, and I'm gonna get drunk. Got it.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
get drunk.
He's gonna get sloshed.
Mosh.
It's like he's watching a soap opera right now. That's how he feels.
He's like, this
so
is very.
feels like a soap opera. Doesn't it?
Yeah, we just turned D&D into a soap opera. Don't mind us.
Literally.
Alright, so we have to hit the marshes, go back to Dandelier, theoretically, up to the Boreal Tides.
Well,
Back.
we need to discuss with Silky first.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just
We
saying,
can't.
purifying the sword would be the easiest way for them to have a conversation and figure out how they want to proceed.
So. So, how the legend of the sword goes is presented by the sky, forged by the dwarves, treated by the ice, sharpened by the sands, engraved by the beasts, blessed by the elves. So, presented by the sky would be where.
No, there was only 5 seals total. We already took out one. I think it's. I don't
So
think
it starts
sky
with the
one meant-
dwarves.
It starts with the dwarves, yeah.
Presentation of the sky was from the star metal arriving on the Luavara.
Yeah, we can't really chuck it into the atmosphere.
No, but I was thinking if that was one
Actually,
of them, we
Saving,
would go
how
to
far
the
do you think
place.
you can throw it up?
No,
Alright, fine.
it's a national treasure, Alistair. We are not playing,
You
fling it
act
into the
like it
sky
will
and see
break.
how far it goes. I don't want to chance it.
It's more like we don't want to lose it.
We don't want the wrong people to get it. How about that one? But forged by the dwarves, perhaps it needs to be in contact with other star metal.
Maybe it should just be put back in the forge.
We can test theories out when we go back that way. For now, I think we take some time to rest for the night and talk things over with Silky in the morning. Because it doesn't do us any good to speculate without asking her opinion and her wishes.
No, you're right.
Now, simply begs the question, what if she chooses to say no?
Then that is her choice, and we see what we do next from there.
And we just go
We
back
can't
to
blame her
adventuring,
for
I
a
feel.
decision that she chose. After all, she didn't choose to walk this path. Quite frankly, I don't know if anybody would choose to walk this path.
Maybe not in today's day and age.
We'll see. I say we at least take a few days, because I don't know if Silky will have an answer right away.
Well, we can always start traveling, depending on where we
Well,
go up from here.
Since
least
we're
start
down,
traveling.
since we're down here, there were some resources we were looking for 8 anyway. Might as well make
Ah.
use of the trip.
Yeah, no easy way to get down here usually. Afterwards, if it's fine with you, Josh, just remind my brain because I've totally forgot the name of our host at this point.
Oranoth.
Can we get it in writing?
Yeah, please.
Everybody's names here, so it's just
You say-
easier.
Yeah.
So Oranoth Tagoth is the host. He
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the assimilated BBEG.
That's not really a
In-
BBEG.
in the eyes of the world.
In the eyes of the
Yeah.
world.
He's just a depressed dad in our eyes.
He's the public one, okay?
He's
Yeah.
public enemy number 1.
Only in the eyes of
He's probably the most reasonable BBEG we've ever met.
in any of our campaigns.
I know, right? Surprising. Shocking.
So, if
I mean, you
Orgoth's-
know, the last.
So, Orgoth, if you're willing, well, we initially do have a plan of trying to look for a teacher when it comes to Eight's Druidic School down here. Would you be able to lend us a scroll of teleport so we can return ourselves to the surface?
The person you seek would be able to provide you one.
Oh, I'm glad you already know who they are. Then, can I ask for a map?
Might be asking for a bit much there, Alistair.
A map? I'm asking for a fucking map. Just so we know where we're going. want to go buy one. I assume they have money here, but I don't know if we're in a town or just some random castle in the middle of nowhere.
He literally told you that you're in the capital of the underground, of the Underdark.
Yeah, that's fair. Alistair's not. Alistair picks and chooses what he listens to.
Not always
Clearly.
the sharpest tool in the shed.
But my arrows are. That's what we see the blunt ones.
Now the blunt ones, those hurt like hell.
Yeah. It's just punching bag arrows.
The one that you're seeking in order to find more explanations about your friend's abilities is one known as the Nasus Hag.
Oh, heck. Intriguing.
Oh gosh, Susan Hag.
She resides within the city of Nasus, in the center of the Underdark.
So we need to go find the city of NASA, is what you're saying.
Yes. She will also be able to provide you transportation back to the surface.
Alright, well, thank you for that information. That's very helpful.
Would it be possible to... I don't know if currency is different down here than above.
We function off of the same currency as the surface.
Alright.
Would it be possible to hire a guide?
I can read a map.
But having somebody that knows the local dangers is more helpful than going in blind.
Alistair just folds his arms and sulks down into his chair, feeling useless.
Up on the surface, you know the area well. It's the same down here, but you're not familiar with the terrain down here.
Give me a day or two. I'll find a book and I'll read it. I'll figure out what's around here.
You don't like reading.
I like reading about certain topics.
Oh shit, he
I don't-
reads. He reads
Folktales.
more
I
than
can-
folktales.
Listen, it took me a while to figure out how to read. Alright? It's one of my biggest fucking accomplishments. I learned how to read when I was 18. It took me a while.
There is
Golf
one.
claps for Alistair.
There is one individual who I would recommend as a guide for the Underdark. Unfortunately, she doesn't reside here in Varan.
Would it be difficult to find them? Or...
It would be more difficult to convince her to come along with you.
She doesn't particularly like to travel with outsiders.
She doesn't. She sees herself as a burden, more or less. Her abilities are rather unique.
Right now, I'm intrigued.
You're going to be wanting to go to Erkoth. It is the town to the northeast of us. It's Irkoth, Irkoth. And you're going to be searching for Sylvie, the Shadowmancer.
Ooh, now I'm really intrigued.
Sylvie would be more than happy to, well, with proper convincing. She would be able to get you to Nasus, no problem.
Fair enough.
I must warn you. There are creatures down here that do not partake very kindly to surface walkers.
There's a lot of creatures that just don't particularly take kindly to anything or anyone. We came across flesh nesters up on the surface. So
Erath is gonna giggle at this. Flesh nesters. They think that's scary.
that was just a scary thing we could see on the surface. I can only imagine what other
I mean, I wouldn't call
things
them
are down
scary.
here.
They were just more of an environmental disaster.
There was a kobold that was punching
Either-
them the moment they came out of the hole.
Yeah. I wouldn't call them scary. I would call them an ecological disaster. They were scary in the sense of they will destroy the environment.
They were like a swarm of mosquitoes. It was more like a flying pack of piranhas.
There we go. Flying pack of piranhas.
But hence why we asked about a guide to help try and stay clear of such creatures if possible. And if that's the most mild thing we come across down here, I'd hate to see worse.
Right.
And it got really quiet.
I mean, we're just waiting for the response.
Erath is gonna speak up and say, well, I usually don't leave the Underdark all that much. I would offer to be your guide for you, but I unfortunately have to deal with other political aspects down here. Through my travels, however, there are whispers of many different creatures that roam these areas, especially in caves and such. But
Noted, so don't take shelter in caves.
there is one that stands out more than others.
Oh boy, what's gonna be the first time we encounter along the road, boys?
If you hear the sounds of crows, run.
Got it. I'm not even gonna ask why.
I will.
What?
Why? I want to know what we're running away from at least.
Speak to the townsfolk. Children. They'll tell you why.
You're not telling me I'm about to get a nursery rhyme about some super creepy beast from a child, am I?
It's German bedtime stories.
Oh my god. German bedtime stories.
All legends have some reality to them.
Sometimes the reality is worse.
And plus, it'll give you a perfectly good reason as to interact with the people of the Underdark. Get a different taste of culture and surrounding.
I mean, we're gonna be down here for a bit. Might as well make the most of it, guys.
I mean, we ain't leaving here anytime soon, so what's the harm? I just need to go buy a map.
Okay. We can do that in town.
Well, since it was neither a yes or no to my proposition, more
Oh,
along
yeah, we kind of forgot all about those at this point. What were those again?
it's now more along the lines of we're working together.
I don't see any harm in that. Our goal toes the line, the end of it. We want to just make the world. We don't want this world being plunged into chaos. You don't want that. All you want to do is find a way to die. We have the key to let you do that, so there's no
Yes.
reason in arguing.
Precisely.
Differ on the
Differ on
specific
approach.
details, but ultimately it'll be up to the people and what they want. As long as nothing major occurs, there should be no reason for us to continue meddling.
Then in that case, then, in equal exchange, you all are offering to help me break my curse and finally allow me to die. However, offering you all something in return. Miss Ravensgrace,
Yes.
you are the one that has been affected by me the most. A splinter group of my leadership is the reason why your family is dead. There is nothing that I can unfortunately give you that will be able to bring them back.
It would be foolish to ask for such a thing. They're at peace. Why would I bring them back into chaos?
So therefore, I would like you to take some time and think about what I can offer to you in return for my mistake. Name your price. Miss Eris, you
Yes.
are also one of the ones that are majorly affected by me. Your family is in shambles. Your mother and father are safe. They are alive. Your brother, however, is
Douche.
progressively becoming more and more unstable. So, my offer to you is your right, and what you should already have. I will give up my oversight of Elendor. If you help me break my curse, I will return the throne to your family name.
Someone should call Ragnar, tell him we're kind of canceling the revolution.
He's not really starting that.
He's not really starting a revolution, but it's like she's
He's
thinking about it's
over
like
there with the king to try to get some semblance of
Yeah, that's
stability
fair.
going.
like
This-
for her, like she didn't mind the whole council situation.
I think her parents might kind of like retirement.
For her, it was more like she was,
We can discuss this later.
yeah,
You
We
just
can
want
discuss it later.
more of a name clear.
name clear at this point.
Mr. Illamora, To my understanding, it is not so much as me who has affected you, but Sven.
Alistair's loving this.
He like kind of like gives Sven a side eye and then looks back. Is like, yes.
Mr. Aethelwolf, is the associate that you have taken from the Grimlands, that is relation to Xavian here, still alive? She is. In that case, then, I would like you to return to your headquarters, retrieve her, and return her safely back to Grimland. You and your pack will no longer do any bidding in Grimland. Do I make myself clear? Yes, sir. Good.
Oh man, he's really not gonna like us now. He's
Yeah,
like,
we do.
Shit, I'm not gonna be able to step foot in the Elvenlands. Not gonna be able to step foot in Grimland.
Grimland.
Probably not dwarf territory either.
Well- Well, no, because
We just
step foot-
massively cut down on his profits.
We've
Well-
killed his profits.
it's not like he's done anything in the Elvenland, so he's free there.
But the
For
second he does.
now.
Is slavery legal in this continent, by the way, Josh?
In the Underdark, you don't know.
I just meant, like, in Luavara.
Like I said, in the Underdark, you don't know. The surface world, absolutely, it's illegal. Yes.
Okay, so he technically couldn't do it anyway up there.
But he is, anyway.
Yeah, because, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, we're already on this shit list.
Just as long as we don't keep interfering too much, we should be fine.
Fine.
Don't
Yes,
worry,
we
we're
don't
still gonna kill him
condone what.
eventually.
We'll see if we can get there. He's kind of, like, really high up there.
Mr. Dubois. To my
Yes.
to my understanding, you just happened to get roped into all of this.
Yeah, you're correct.
Well, in that case, I'm going to offer you the exact same thing that I offered to Miss Ravensgrace. As a thanks for your assistance and your help, you may take some time to think and name your price.
He nods. Thank you kindly.
And finally, Mr. Silent Step.
Hey, what's up?
True to his name as to how difficult it is to track you all down.
Thank you.
At least according to what my spies have been seeing, you are looking for someone.
What? Hush your mouth.
Just give it up.
I don't know what Alistair's face is red.
Ragnar would have given it up if we really pressured him.
Fine, yeah. I know she's in the marshes, but I don't know where.
Belfry. And
You know where my fucking kid is?
she's gonna reach
She's
over
good
the
at finding information.
she's gonna reach over the chair and like squish your cheeks.
Through the mask? No, I've been eating and drinking. The mask is.
Oh, this is
Yep.
entertaining.
She's gonna close her eyes and squish your cheeks.
Squishy, squishy.
And, he's going to explain to you to go ahead and, think of the person that you are trying to locate. Feel
Oh, I
free,
very much
will do her best to
vividly,
find where they are.
I vividly imagine Meadow. At least the last I saw of her.
I need to give her a roll. Ooh.
Don't tell me she passed, goddammit.
No, she's
Oh,
alive.
no.
She's alive. There.
Oh. Oh, that's good news. Alistair pulls out his map, marking and just like big words running there. It's like Meadow is around here. Hey, I know we need to like uncurse the sword and things, but can I make a very, very selfish request?
Didn't you say she's in the marshes?
Yeah, but now I know the general proximity, and whenever we return to the surface, I would
We
like
can
to
try.
see.
Well, she didn't say we necessarily had to do it in order, as we can tell. we
Yeah,
have
we should go
bands.
meet the beast people.
I suppose we can do two birds with one stone.
Oh, thank you so much. I
But
haven't seen
it
her in
also
like.
is up to Silky, so.
I mean,
But
even
I
if
don't
Silky
think.
says no,
Yeah, I don't think Silky would have an issue trying to help you find someone.
I'm trying to because my brain's just broken on this one, Josh. How long is it? It's been what, like 2, 3 years? Longer? I can't remember.
It's probably been a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, it's 5 or 6, something around that. I never specified dates and times because I was just letting you play around with that.
Yeah, I don't have an exact time.
Yeah, we'll just say 6 years. That's good because that makes me like 21 and still pretty young and dumb. It's been like 6 years since I've seen her. And now Alistair, realizing that everyone's really quiet and looking at him because he's now like, he's showing genuine concern for someone, just starts stuffing his face and doesn't want to talk anymore.
Irath,
Crying.
Irath
He's crying a little
therefore,
bit.
yeah, Irath therefore reaches into her bag and she hands Aristella, Vare, and actually just Aristella and Vare a scroll.
I got information on my kid.
Yeah. So Aristella and Vare, you guys now have a scroll that you could just put in your inventory that says blank check from Oranoth. Yeah, an IOU from Oranoth.
Okay.
Stuffing face, stuffing face, stuffing face.
Face.
Now,
I was just crying a little bit.
with debt settled, I believe we all have our objectives. Thank you for not making a big fuss about this.
Well, you did say you invited us to talk, so there was a lot of information to go over. Out of all the things that we've been through, I mean, it's not too surprising that we found yet another spot where history was not entirely correct.
Well, we came down here looking for history and the truth of things, and I guess we got it.
All that's left is to figure out our next course.
Right. And with that, your adventure in the Underdark to seek out Sylvie the Shadowmancer and the Nasus Hag will begin next week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Alright. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. I know this is mostly just a talking episode, but it was necessary. Because finally, you guys have answers.
And we cleared the air. Though we probably made Sven a little bit more pissed at us.
I don't care. We're
I
gonna
don't
kill him.
care.
I just
That
don't want
man's
him
on
to
the
make,
shit list.
That man
I just
is
don't
on
want
the
him to
list.
make life more difficult in the meantime. So I am
Hey,
curious to know what Felfrey's connection to him is, other than the boss.
I think it's just the boss.
I don't know. I'm curious. We'll see.
Well, you can maybe find out another time.
I'm not
Alright.
saying we'll find out tonight, but maybe tomorrow. Or
Guess so.
not tomorrow, but you know what I
Tomorrow.
mean.
Tomorrow.
Cool.
Alright. So, with that, we'll see you guys next week. Usual time, 7:30 Eastern, right here. And of course, if you guys want to catch up on any of the shenanigans, or if you guys are just new, the VODs are always on my YouTube. They're in a playlist. Check them out. Watch it from the beginning. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Ciao.